Hey everyone, today we're going to talk about schemas and rich snippets. Let's get started. So first things first, what is a schema markup? Simply put, the simplest way to say what a schema markup is that it's a standard language. So it comes in JSON LD. It comes in, the most famous one right now is JSON LD format. That is a standardized language by schema.org. And we can add this to the HTML of the site, this code. What it does is basically it defines every element on the web page to Google and to search engines. Like, there's lots of elements on the pages. Search engines normally do a very good job at understanding what's what. So if they see a number, they can tell this is the price, or if it's the size, or this number is a rating. But by using schema markup, we can actually highlight that information to the search engine. And we could be something like, this number that you see is the calories for this recipe. This other number that you see is how long it's going to take to cook these food. So we basically highlight every element, letting the search engine know what it is as a part of our content, how it connects to our content or the product, and how it could benefit everybody that's involved. So this is an example of what a schema markup would look like in the code format. Normally, we won't need to use the code format because we use rank math to implement these. So as a result of having schema markups and marking up our pages, what we get is something called something called rich snippets. So as you can see on the right in the image, these results have been marked up with schema markup. We've highlighted, or the companies have highlighted to Google exactly what every element is on the page. In this specific case, the schema that's being used is a recipe schemas. So there are also different kinds of schemas with different properties and fields. This one is using a recipe schema. In the recipe schema, we have ratings, we have how long it takes to cook and prepare it, how many calories it has, ingredients, a few other things that's in there. So because we've implemented the schema markup for recipes, Google is able to provide us with something called rich snippets. So these rich snippets have added information on them, again, because Google knows what this information exactly stands for. And usually these rich snippets have higher click-through rates. So the reason we want to implement them is to improve our CTR and click-through rate for these pages. So why is schema markup important and how does it help? Well, schema markup is what powers the rich snippets. If we don't implement structured data and schema markup, we'll never have rich snippets. If we implement them incorrectly, we'll also never have rich snippets. Rich snippets, like I said, often have higher click-through rates, especially if your competitors are using schema markups. So if you're on the first page of Google and everybody else is using schema markup for a product, but you're not using schema markup for a product, that's a big disadvantage, and you'll end up losing lots of clicks for that. So the end results of using schema markups basically is that their website receives more traffic. Using schema markup, especially the speakable schema markup, makes your web pages and website eligible to be included in the voice search. So as a future thing, if you want to be as a part of voice search for Alexa, Google Home, Siri, we have to have schema markup implemented to be included. So in short, it doesn't just help get more traffic, but it also helps search engines provide users with more relevant content because now they understand their content better, as we highlighted the content for them. So there are different types of schemas out there. There's actually thousands and thousands and thousands of schemas out there. There is a number of them that are common and accepted by Google, and Google uses them to power rich snippets. So some of the common ones are article, used for article pages, used for blog posts. Some other ones are FAQ schemas, which are used for frequently asked questions, or any page that generally has questions on it, we can use that. And the questions are usually more simplistic. How-to schemas are more like for very detailed, more technical questions. Local business schemas for businesses that are local, highlighting the elements of locality. Question and answer schema is very similar to FAQ, and review schemas as well as product schemas. So any web page that receives user-generated content and receives this content from the users, we can use review schemas to generate stars for them. Any page that has product, it's a must that it has to be using product schemas. Otherwise, that's a disadvantage. So I have a link for you here from Google that you can see a full list of all the schemas that are available. Now, if you want to practice this, and if you want to actually put this into perspective, we should be able to easily add schema markup to web pages using rank math. So what you have to do is you make sure rank math is installed and the schema module is turned on. So I don't have any screenshots or instructions for that, but I can help you if needed. Then we go to rank math titles and meta and select preferred schema types for each post type. So in the screen, you can see that for posts, we are using an article schema throughout the website. So this is a site-wide schema that we're going to be using for every web page that the post type is a post. We can also add schemas to individual pages. We can edit each page individually and add one of the available schemas to that page and fill in the required fields. So in order to do that, we would edit a page or a post, and we would go to the rank math section. From the rank math section, we would navigate to the schema tab that's highlighted in yellow for you. And we would choose the schema type that we want to add to our post. So at the bottom, we would click on schema generator. It would show a list of schemas that are available on rank math free version, and on the rank math pro version, we can choose the schema from that drop-down list, and we can fill in the required fields from that list. So with Rank Math Pro, you can also create your own schema templates. So we don't need to know any coding in order to create schemas, neither we need the help of a web developer anymore. Or we can also import schemas from other web pages. In order to do this, we open the schema generator and we go to the import tab. Then we have a couple of different options to import from. We can either import from a live URL, we can import from an HTML code, or we can import the JSON LD, which is the actual schema markup code directly here, which is more useful if you've created a template somewhere else and you want to import that template into Rank Math. But for most cases, we would either use the HTML code or the URL. In the next step, then Rank Math will find all of the schema markups that the web page, the URL is currently using. And Rank Math was able to find organization, website, web page, person, and article schema on them. For any of these schemas, guys, I can click on the use button. And from there on, I can either apply it to the article that I'm currently on, or I can save it as a template to use it later for any other articles coming up later. So this is what the page would look like. If you click on save as a template at the bottom, you can save it, or at the bottom right, save for this post, you can apply it to this post. At the top, I've highlighted for you in red, you can actually edit this schema as well. So instead of creating a schema template from scratch, what you can do is you can download schemas from other websites, import schemas from other websites, and you can edit them by deleting some fields, adding some properties or property groups to make it customized for your web page. So one part of implementing schemas is to validate our schemas. It's very important that we check to see if our code for schema has any errors. So why it's important is because Google will not consider you for, if we have any errors, Google will not consider your web page for rich results. In the future, Google will also be more careful displaying you in rich results for your other web pages. Even if you implement the correct schema, Google won't immediately consider you again for rich results. And in some cases, you can get penalized for using the wrong type of schema. So Rank Math has a built-in code validation feature that allows you to validate the code before you actually publish it. So this is very helpful because we can avoid all of these warnings and errors from Google before we actually go live. On the code validation tab, you can see that it says test with Google, which will then directly take you to rich results tests from Google with the code already pasted in there. And you can see if your schema has any errors. Some schema best practices that are worth mentioning. Make sure that your schemas are always up-to-date information. Google doesn't want to show rich results for a time-sensitive schema that is no longer relevant. For example, an event schema that's in the past. Provide original content that you or users have generated. So even with the schemas, we need to stick to original content. This one's very important. We do not want to mark up any elements in the schema markup that is not visible to the readers of the page. So anything we highlight through the backend using schema markups has to be readable and visible on the front end of the website as well. This is very important, actually. Don't mark up irrelevant or misleading content. So fake reviews, content unrelated to the focus of the page. Your structured data must also be a true representation of a page's content. So for example, I have two examples that is not a true representation. One is a sports live streaming site labeling broadcasts as local events. So broadcasts could be events, but they're not local events. A woodworking site labeling instructions as recipes. So that's also not recipe, so we need to make sure that it's a true representation of the content. So guys, if you want to practice this today or in the future, I actually have this thing that I use with our students. You can sign up at wordify.com. It will give you a free stage or dev website. So I have one and it's free. It's like less than 30 seconds to get one. Any SEO changes or anything I want to practice, I want to mess up things just to learn. I go on my dev site. It's not a live site. It's just for me to work on. And I implement all these changes. So I recommend you to sign up for Wordify dev site, install Rank Math, enable the schema module, and see that for yourself.